Alright, welcome back. In the last video, we worked on the help menu. Okay, we worked on the view help action and the about notepad clone action. Alright, so if I click the about notepad clone action, you can see a dialog box displayed. Okay, and if I click the OK button, it goes away. And for the view help action, if I click it, it opens the browser. It's going to take a while to open, but it's going to open eventually. Right, so there you go. This is the Bing website. Okay, and you can see the um search term that gets help with notepad clone on Windows. Right, so that's what we set as the search term whenever we click the um view help action. Right, so we'll just go back to application, and this time we're going to work on the view action. All right, so I mean the view menu. Okay, so yeah, the view menu. All right, so let's quickly dive into it. So let's start working on the view menu. We'll start with the zoom in action, and then we'll move to the zoom out action, the restore default zoom action, and the status bar action. All right, so what we're going to do first is get the font size. That's before we start working on the zoom in action. We want to get the font size or the point size of the font, if you like. All right, so we'll come here and we'll say self dot initial font. Let's call it that. And then we'll say self dot plain text edit dot font dot point size. Okay, and now we'll come down here and we'll say self dot zoom in action dot triggered dot connect, and I'll say self dot zoom in clicked. All right, so what we're going to do now is create this method. Basically, how text editors work generally is whenever you click the zoom in action, it increases the point size of the font. Okay, so that's what we're basically doing here. We want to increase the point size of the font whenever we click the zoom in action. Right, so um, basically if I click this, if this zoom in action is triggered, I want this method to be run, and this method is just going to increase the font size or the point size of the font, if you like. Right, so let's create the method. So we'll come down here and say f zoom in clicked, and we'll say self, and we'll say self dot plain text edit dot zoom in, and we want the range to be 1. Okay, so if I save this and run it, and I type the book is on the table, and I click the view menu and the zoom in action, notice that it increases, the point size of the font increases. Okay, you can see it's working properly. Okay, so this is how it works. So let's do the same thing for the zoom out action. Okay, but this time it's going to reduce. All right, so I'm going to cancel this, or decrease if you like. Okay, so we'll come here, and instead of saying zoom in action, we'll say zoom out action. So just copy this and we'll paste it here, and I'll come here and say zoom out. Okay, and here also I'll say zoom out. All right, and now what I'm going to do is create this method. Okay, so I could just copy this, paste it here. I'll change this to out. I'll leave the range as 1, and then I'll change this to out also. Okay, so if I save it now and run it again, and I type the book is on the table, and I click the zoom out action, notice that it reduces. Okay, it reduces. Okay, so our code is working properly. What we're going to do now is update the status bar whenever we click the zoom in action and the zoom out action. Or before we do that, let's work on the restore default zoom action. Okay, so after we work on the restore default zoom action, then we'll try to update the status bar whenever we click any of these actions, or whenever we trigger any of these actions, if you like. Right, so I'm going to cancel this. For the restore default zoom action, we'll just come here and we'll say self.restore zoom action, and we'll say triggered, and we'll say connect, and we'll say self.restore zoom clicked. Okay, so what we'll do now is create this method. So we'll come here and say def restore zoom clicked, and we'll say self, and then we'll come down here and say font is equal to Qt GUI.Q font, and we'll say font dot set point size, and we'll say self dot initial font. Okay, and then we'll come here and say self dot plain text edit dot set font, and then we'll say font. Okay, that's this font here. All right, so basically what we just did was First, we created a font, okay, and we set the point size of the font to this initial point size. Okay, that's what we have here. All right, so we're basically restoring it back to what it was when we started the application. Okay, so um here we just set the font to this font. Okay, hope that's clear. So let's save this, and if we run it, again, and we say the book is on the table, okay, and let's try to increase it. Now that we have increased it, if we click the restore default zoom, it goes back to its initial point size. Okay, so our code is working properly. Now what we're going to do is update the status bar whenever we click any of these actions, or whenever we trigger any of these actions. Okay, whenever we trigger them. So I'm going to cancel this. What we're going to do now is get the current point size. Okay, so we're going to create a method that will get the new point size whenever we click the zoom in action or the zoom out action. Okay, we want to get the new point size, and we want to get the change. Okay, the change in the point size. Let's call it the percentage change in point size. Okay, and we want to um update the status bar. Okay, we want to show those things in the status bar. Okay, um so what we're going to do now is um we'll come here. I'm looking for where I can put it. So okay, we can come here and say f current point size. Okay, and we'll say self. And now what we're going to do is say self dot new font, and we'll say this should be equal to self dot plain text edit dot font dot point size. Okay, and for the change in the point size, we want to say self dot delta is equal to self dot new font over self dot initial font times 100. Okay, so that'll be the change in the point size. Okay, the percentage change. Okay, so um next thing we're going to do is create another method, and we'll say def dot zoom, or let's say let's call this set zoom percentage. Okay, and we'll say self. And here what we want to do is um set the percentage change in the point size. We want to set it in the status bar. Okay, so we'll say self dot status bar dot children, and the index is 5, later I'm going to show you that I'm going to say set text, and here we're going to use string formatting. Okay, so we'll say self dot delta. Okay, and what we're going to do now is come here and say self dot current point size. That's this. Okay, and we'll do the same thing here. Say self dot current point size, and then we'll also say self dot set zoom percentage. I'll copy this and paste it here too. Okay, so basically what we're saying is whenever the zooming action is triggered, we want you to run this method. Okay, and this method basically, that's this method, increases the point size. Okay, it does it here. All right, and then it gets the current point size, that's the new point size, and it displays it in the status bar here. Okay, the same thing with the zoom out action. Okay, so it decreases the point size, it gets the current point size, that's the new point size, and then it displays it in the status bar. Okay, so that's basically what we just did. So if I save it and run it, and I try to increase the point size or to zoom in, you can see that the status bar um, is updated with the percentage change in the point size. Okay, so if I click it again, this is the zoom in action. You can see it increases. It was 111 before, but now it's 122. If I trigger it again, you can see it's now 133. Okay, if I trigger it again, you see it's now 144. Okay, um if I try to zoom out, you see it's back to 133. Okay, if I zoom out again, you can see it's 122. Okay, the next one is supposed to be 111. Okay, so you can see it's 111. Let's increase it again to 122. Okay, so now if I click the restore default zoom, nothing happens. Okay, so let's fix that. So we'll cancel this. So for the restore default zoom, we'll just copy this and paste it here. And instead of this self dot delta, we'll just say 100 percent, and we'll remove this format string. Okay, so now it should work. If we save it and run it, and we type the book is on the table, and we try to increase it, zoom in, Notice that the status bar still updates. Okay, but now if I click the restore default zoom, it goes back to 100%. Okay, you can see 100% here. All right, so that's basically how it works. So I said I was going to show you something. So I mean, why this is 5. Basically in this status bar we have several children. Okay, what I'm going to do now is try to print this. Okay, so that's by saying solve dot status bar dot children, and I save it and run it. It's going to show whenever I click this whenever the restore default zoom action is clicked. So if I come here and run this and I click the restore default zoom action, you can see all the children. Let me shift this. Sorry, let me minimize it. Okay, you can see all the children of the status bar. So you can see the queue size group, you can see the uh queue label, you can see several children basically. So if you count them, let's say this has an index of 0, this has an index of 1, that's the label. Then there's another frame that has an index of 2, and then there's a queue label that has an index of 3, and then there's another queue frame that has an index of 4, and then you can see there's another queue label that has an index of 5. It is this particular queue label that contains the text that we are updating. Okay, so that's why this has an index of 5. Okay, because where I have those where I have that percentage change stuff, okay, is this queue label. Okay, and that is why, because it has an index of 5, that's why I put 5 here. Okay, if it had a different index, then I would have put the corresponding index. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Okay, so um I think we should stop there. Right, so that's where we're going to stop. In the next video, we'll work on the format menu. Thanks and see you next time.